Hello everyone and welcome to another MMO development class. This is class meeting number 8 and the topic of this class will be game mechanics. Now before we get going, this is one of those things that I've already stressed on the radio show just the other day, and I believe at the very end of the last class meeting when we kind of had the after show. You know, for those of you that left early, you really missed it. That's when we broke out the alcohol and just kicked back and had another 30 minutes or so worth of a good time. But game mechanics. This is going to be one of those meetings that is not for everyone. I foresee 50% of the class slowly going away as time progresses throughout the night.
Well, that'd be convenient. There's not that many people
here. No, there's not that many, which goes back to my fear of having these classes way too often because...
Well, we did announce it only yesterday.
Granted. But still, the good thing is people can still watch these. Yeah. But this is going to be another case of back and forth, and a lot of, are we going in circles again? He's beating his chest again. No, he's beating his chest again.
No, he's beating his friend's chest.
Whoa, wait, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is just how it goes, especially with so many different people from all around the world with their own ideas of what makes the perfect MMO.
And it really is like trying to bake the perfect pizza. You're never going to find just the right combination of ingredients to suit everyone.
That's right.
But we're going to try to hear as many people out who are willing to speak up. So if you end up hearing the same things over and over, or maybe something along the lines of bickering, I like this, I don't like that, etc., and so forth, that's how it goes. Now,
well, I did want to throw this out real quick.
Throw it out.
And that is that at first I said, perhaps we'll just hold this class, but I won't post the video.
Right.
I'm going to post these videos, but I really want to make a strong case about this is not your standard video that everybody's going to like.
Right.
So do you guys want us to continue with this video and post it? If so, in the IRC, type I agree. This is getting the signatures.
Oh, God.
So those that didn't make it, and they see all of this, I agree. They know the class was behind us wanting this to be recorded and put up. Thank you guys very much. What's that, Lee?
I thought at one point this class was just going to be a small invite-only type class, and we were going to possibly record it.
It was, but look, it is small and invite-only. What are you talking about? We only have like 31 people in here, so... Perhaps the hour's not the best. Those that are still stateside are, for the most part, still at work.
I still think it has to do with the notice.
Yeah, and the notice was short.
Because it was less than 24 hours ago, really.
So, absolutely. But we are going to put it up. But I don't want people complaining in the classroom about, oh, it's just going in circles. Because you can go forward with the track bar. Don't forget that. Or you can hit the stop button and just jump to the videos where we're doing technical stuff. Woo, that's simple.
We can do that. Great.
Well, actually, it's even better than that. Because, I mean, if you're following along and creating your own MMO and you don't care about all this, you don't have to listen to what other people say about mechanics.
Damn it, I know how my game's going to work.
Yeah, if you've got an idea for how your game's going to work, then... by all means, don't worry about it. We have to throw this out there because we caught so much flack for the last time we tried something like this.
We really did.
So, anyway.
All right, you were going to say something else before I so rudely jump back in.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, you may want to take a look over in the MMO Lounge. There is a mind map that I threw out there for you to look at.
Mind map.
Please.
Mind map. Well, that one's mine.
Please understand that it's not... I didn't put that together to be the answer to what we have to include or not include. These are just some of the things that I thought would be important. Some things that I think you can almost take for granted in a massively multiplayer online game, and you're welcome to disagree with me on that. It was just kind of a guideline, because I get the feeling, and I might be right, I might be wrong, that in the grand scheme of things, if you just throw out there, I want to talk about gameplay mechanics, there are so many different directions it can go that a lot of people's minds will just seize up. So I wanted to kind of break that down into some pretty concrete categories, some things that could be discussed. In this meeting, tonight we're going for any one of those angles or more. If you can think of one that I didn't include, fantastic.
And I can tell you this, as I'm sure Mr. Gavin will be on here shortly. Gavin, start thinking right now, even if you have to start writing what you're going to say, just so we don't get caught with one of your ever so famous
Love you, Gavin.
Yeah, we love you to death, man. But after 5 minutes of no, Gavin, come on. You know we love you, man. I'm just saying think so that you know what to say. I don't know what I'm going to say right now. Look, I'm just like spitting words out.
Crib notes, man. Crib notes.
That's right.
Exactly.
So let's see some updates. First and foremost, I have 5 new R&D videos. My apologies. As I was setting up for the class, I went over to make sure I had enough room on the video drive for recording the classes tonight, and I was like, oh my dear heavens, I have not encoded nor put up the last videos that Lee and I did. Those are the ones that make us look like idiots, right, Lee?
Oh, I thought you just wanted to redo those.
That's
to put those up. I wasn't going to say anything. It's like, oh no, we want to redo those. Okay.
I noticed nobody at all said anything to me about when are those 5 videos.
I thought I had them all, but it's not like I dig through your hard drive. Or
no, I
know where all the files are that I want to look at.
I was just going to quietly let those ones die away.
I see. Well, there's 5 more that wrap up session number 7, and there are R&D videos.
With an explosion.
These get rough. I mean, well, they do. I mean, come on. We had been up for a significant amount of time with no to very little sleep, or should I say very little to no sleep? Yes, that sounds better. So, I mean, it's going to happen, and there's been many of times in my life where I've given up 24 hours worth of sleep. It's been in the early morning hours, and I'm trying to do something extremely simple, and I have what is commonly referred to as a brain fart, and suddenly I can't remember what I'm doing at all, and it happens. I don't want us to have to re-record those videos, because the moment we do, Lee, we're going against what I said to begin with, and we're going to get into a routine of that and never get this class done then.
Well, it's like, when you're really, 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 really tired, and it's like you're kind of dozing off, and like your leg will kick really hard. That's just your brain sending a signal out, trying to make sure that you're not dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But that can happen to a lot more than just your leg or your arm. It can actually happen to your entire mind. So the whole thing just kind of gets a quick jolt. You're like, oh, hell, where am I?
It's a momentary short circuit, basically. Yeah. So, and that does happen.
It's probably a good thing we don't re-record those videos, because the code has changed so drastically since then. I would probably cringe trying to have to instruct on that, knowing how much it's changed and what has yet to be put down on video.
Yeah. And speaking of that, that brings us into the next but very related topic. And that is, ever since we finished up the radio show on Friday night, Lee has been working like a madman, getting Vertex cache in place, and then from there, deciding how he wanted persistence to work in R&D. I guess you can say the first run of it, the first iteration of persistence. And in doing so, of course, that means we have to have an interest management system in place, because that's extremely important as well for managing, it's very complicated, for managing a lot of things. And Lee, you've done a brilliant job. They haven't seen anything. I have, though, and we've actually discussed quite a bit of it a couple of times. I've been very impressed, and what I saw was just absolutely stellar. Even, I don't know where you found the extra time to play with shaders. I know you got absolutely sick of staring at the green color, so I don't know why you tinted green by green, giving us nuclear green in the fields.
Well, my monitor color is a little bit off. It's just very vivid, healthy green.
When I fired it up over here, Zach didn't know what I was doing. He was looking the other way, and all of a sudden...
Healthy as in it grows tumors?
I started screaming. Zach's like, what the... He turned around, looked at it, and he started screaming.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very healthy green, meaning that it helps all sorts of stuff grow on your genitalia. I wanted to ask Lee a very telling question. And Lee, you're going to have to read into this, and I know if you're a little tired, it might take you a second. But, one, I'm going to have to make Jason make Jason give me some time to do this, because if I don't get some extra time to do it, it'll never get done. But I'm going to ask you this. Does it need to be enclosed, or are you okay with us still being able to see the character inside of it?
Oh, well, if the character is part of it, then I am absolutely fine with it.
I would just take her model and kind of make her part of the model. She would be static at that point.
That would be fine.
Okay.
Cut her in half, do a little magician trick. That would work.
Sure. I was just curious, because, I mean, I don't want to, like, make something that's, well, whatever. I was just curious.
And at the same time, don't forget, this is just, it's going to be crude still, because it's just to start testing flight mechanics over.
Now, see, I was trying to be all discreet and not say words like flight mechanics.
We're about to talk about game mechanics tonight. We have to talk about flight mechanics. Damn it,
I know,
logic.
you were trying to be all stealthy, and there goes Jason blowing another
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What are you talking about? That's what tonight's topics are about.
No space gameplay. I'm still trying to get a world working.
Yes.
Give me a break.
Space
before I gotta
gameplay,
start
come
putting
on.
Planets together.
I'm in space.
Yes. See, you guys got to love me heading this thing. I want it all.
Yeah, no kidding.
As long as we can do it without killing Lee, we'll be in good shape. We're
or
not
me
going to.
flying somewhere in Europe to
Like
hunt
spelling
down the
gap.
people who made Unity so we could have a little discussion face to face.
No, come on. It's not been that bad. Okay, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, lest we forget the whole profiler.
I was about to say the only
episode.
thing that I want to smack them around about right now is just there's some bugs in the profiler when you're really counting on it to let you know about what's going on the heap and as far as your memory consumption. And you know it's been collected, but yet the profiler's like, no, you're still using half a gig. Nope, half a gig. But you can see in the task manager, you can actually watch the memory usage drop by, well, half a gig as it gets reclaimed. It's so frustrating. It's like, come on,
we're
guys.
very close to the point where you can't play test this in the editor anymore.
Really?
Yeah, that bad.
Yeah,
I can build it out and put it on the standalone, let it run for hours at a time. It's doing it right now. It's been running for 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 5 seconds.
Still running. Ooh, yeah, that's awesome.
So that's fine. I can't.
Still
run
using
5 minutes
interest
in the
management,
editor.
caching, and TTL and all that good stuff?
Everything that I've shown you before times 2, because what you
'Cause
saw
you have the
before
secondary.
was, that was just the low res.
Sweet.
So for all you that are wondering, the system's been completely rewritten to support multiple trains simultaneously. So I have a low resolution and a high resolution train with 2 different camera systems stacked. So in effect, I'm cheating level of detail with this thing. But it runs perfectly outside on the standalone.
Mm-hmm.
But inside of the editor, it thrashes so much memory, Unity can't keep up, and it just chokes and dies.
Mr. Xavier, it's good. He's always here. Xavier's awesome. He wants to know how many vertices do you have on each patch? On the high res.
Now, I've actually cut it in 4th. What have I got running?
On the high res?
Yeah, I've cut down everything. I've sacrificed draw calls for caching speed.
Right.
So currently on the one that I'm running, it's 625 vertices on the high res, still 2 meter resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm using 4 times as many patches as I was doing to achieve the same landscape.
Right.
And then low res is 625, but 10 meter resolution. And I'm probably going to bump that to the full 2601, which is going to be 4 times the resolution, but probably drop its spacing down to 5 meter. Maybe.
Gotcha.
I'm not quite sure. It's that, or I'm going to leave it at 10 meters, and I'm going to remove half as many patches. Because right now I don't have the system capable of having 2 different systems for interest management. So right now they're both using visible areas of 11 by 11 patches. So what's that? 121 patches each that are visible. So for the the low res far distant one, it's probably a bit too much.
How much does it say right now if you check your task manager? How much is the standalone using
half
memory
a
wise?
gig.
Okay.
It's been bouncing between about 460, I think. 460 and 480. Right now I'm sitting 496.
Okay. But
So
you are still steadily flushing stuff out of
yeah.
out of the cache, right? Okay.
Well, yeah. Vertices get flushed out of the cache. All the meshes have been redone to use a mesh pool. So I'm recycling meshes. I'm not constantly throwing those around anymore.
Right.
So I am dumping patches, but patches are just lists now. There's no. Let's see if I remember right. There's nothing that is Unity API in a patch anymore. So
Okay.
for those that are listening, yes, pretty much the entire terrain system has been completely rewritten in the past few days.
Yeah, it's not, when we go to record these, it's not going to be a small change. It's going to be a big change. It's going to be a big R&D session, that's for sure, when we actually record these.
Yeah,
But
another around, I don't know, 5-10 hours.
yeah, but you know what's going to be cool? You've definitely got to put all the debug stuff in there because that's awesome looking.
Well, it's the only way to could
I
figure
know.
out what the interest management was doing.
Yeah, that's what
Show them that.
that's what I'm telling you. Tell them about the tell them about how the debug stuff works because it's really cool looking.
It basically, with a Unity mesh, there is a bounds. It's a bounding box that you have access to. And all I did was take some debug draw lines to map out that bounding box inside of the editor so you can see where those bounds are. So using a mesh pool and constantly recycling the meshes, I needed to make sure that they were doing their job. So I needed a visual way of knowing that the boxes were being repurposed. So I decided to color coordinate it to match the interest system. So the boxes are colored green if they're inside of the camera frustum. So you see all the boxes within the view that are green. Everything that is outside but is ready to go is color-coded yellow. That's the area of interest. And then there's a layover period, a leftover safety margin, which is colored in red. So once a patch goes beyond the area of interest, it doesn't immediately destroy it. There's a hold area, and it holds onto those meshes until they've dropped beyond the hold area. Once they've go beyond the hold area, the patch is destroyed. The mesh is marked or reset and marked for reuse, and then the entire interest system will reissue a new patch, that mesh, and then it repopulates. So what you see inside of the editor as you're running around is all these little green boxes right around your character following you around, with all the other boxes adapting and changing colors as you go away, and then things eventually turn white once they're waiting to be repurposed. Those boxes disappear, more boxes pop up in front of you, and when it's all working, it looks really cool. But when it's not working, you know right away because you got big holes in your mesh or of all these patches going, why is there no patches there?
But now you know, is it just marked inactive? Is it cached? Is it, I mean, you can pull quite a bit out of the visuals that you get back from that information now, which is really cool. So nice stuff. You've been doing an outstanding job. I just wanted everyone to know that I don't know when we're going to be back on recording this next session, because you're doing your first successful long run now, showing that there's no memory leaks, wouldn't you say?
Right. Well, I need to make sure there's no memory leaks, that everything keeps going. It's also a test to make sure that I can go out to the edge of the world, which is what I've just done. I've turned around and I'm heading in another direction now. I was specifically also trying to track down at what point the separation in the meshes become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So that is...
Oh, what kind of speed are you running at?
I'm still at 6 meters.
Okay.
I'm at her native run speed, which is double what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's
she's the ultra. She's kind
Track
of
star,
like,
Yeah, she's a
Usain
track
Bolt.
star.
She's like kind of UE Bolt crossed with that last guy that just ran the marathon in just over 2 hours.
Gotcha.
So, if UE Bolt could do it for 2 hours, he'd finish in probably an hour.
So when you get that portion done, what's the next plan?
I gotta redo the sculpting so it works again.
Oh, that's right. The sculpting system is offline at the moment.
Yep. So then I've got to get sculpting in. Once that works, then I've got to put the data format together and actually be able to save out. So before I completely rewrote everything, when I first got the vertex cache going, I did have persistence in place. So you could paint or sculpt, walk away, come back, and everything that you sculpted would still be there until you ended the game. Once you ended the game, came back, everything was gone again. So I needed the interest management stuff, because that's the system that decides what gets loaded, and it's also going to be the thing that decides what's been edited and what gets saved out. So I need that in place so I can do the data format, so I can load and save patches of information as opposed to just running them from the terrain generator.
Mm-hmm.
But before I can get that, I got to get the sculpting system back online. Otherwise, I'm just saving out the existing terrain.
Right.
So I'll get that working, then I'll work on the data format, get that going, and then we get to record videos again. So,
Lots of them.
And I knew this was going to be a long process, so I had some fun with the shader on Easter. So.
And Aurelian asks if threading is up and running, and it's actually been up and running for a very long time. It just we've been hoping that we would see a new update to Unity with the garbage collection problem fixed that's in the editor. Unfortunately, with the couple of updates that we have seen, that has not yet been addressed.
And I don't think it's really going to get fixed. I don't even think it's so much the threading problem as it is the fact that it is, how do I want to put it? It's the fact that the editor is not capable of flushing the information fast enough, so these things are being created. And because the editor is holding references to it, the garbage collector can never get rid of them.
Right.
When you build standalone, the editor's not in there, so it's not part of the equation. So when I remove things, they are going away. So that's why I can run standalone.
Right.
The problem that we've got is in the editor, now even without threading, when I disable threading, the number of patches that I'm putting in
You're now
is
still
going
seeing
to kill
that
the
problem.
editor.
Yeah.
So it's going to start killing the editor with or without. So the problem with this demo is we're very quickly getting to the point that you're not going to be able to fire off the editor to play the game and do a lot of exploring.
Right.
So we'll
And
probably
we went through all of your threading code the other night, and other than just a couple little suggestions that I had, I really liked it. So I think we can go ahead and do videos over that soon as well with some of these other things.
make that closer to the 10 to 15 hours.
Oh, come on. It's not
for you
that.
guys.
It's not that
No, it's not
big.
that bad.
No, not at all.
No, once we get into the explanation and putting it together and then the priority queue, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, it is
But
good
I'm just
stuff.
saying, with the entire rewrite of the system, the getting everything all up to the point where this will be once we're saving the files and stuff,
Hmm.
I'm willing to bet it'll be another 10, 15 hours worth of R&D videos.
Oh, I completely agree. As we now approach 80 hours worth of MMO video, it's not going to be. I think in a month from now we're going to be hitting 100. This'll definitely be a biggie. We'll have to pull the thread up in a couple years from now and see all of the different bets that people had placed on how long this would be, because it's been a tremendous amount of both R&D work and content that's been recorded. So it's just, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And then after we get those videos done, or while we're recording the videos,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm thinking Sky System next?
Yeah, after we get persistence in, yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. It's just so damn cool when you can see, midday, and you can see at dusk and then dark. You've got nighttime looking pretty damn creepy when running through all those trees, especially when you parented the spotlight in and simulated a flashlight. It's just like, wow, just some good sounds, and that would be damn creepy running through there. But
Yeah, I'm thinking what we can get for the most visual. The shader stuff I want to avoid for a while.
mhm.
It's like going, yeah, it's really cool, guys, and stuff, but when we get into the shader, I don't want to just give you the one shader. So I want to be able to teach you the stuff that's going on with shaders, and that's going to be a very in-depth topic.
It'll
So
be involved. But okay, so there is a quick update on what's going on as far as the terrain system. Now, as you guys know, tonight the topic is game mechanics. So what I'm going to do is, we're at about 27 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. So this was just kind of an update video letting everybody know what's going on. And starting in the next video, we'll begin the game mechanic discussion. But real quick, any questions based off of what you have heard? Now's a good time to ask the questions that are specifically related to what we just talked about.
there's Gavin's already.
Oh,
Wants to
where
know
is it?
about a separate Unity shaders series.
Series?
It's not so much a separate Unity shader series is the fact that I still want to do an entire series on shaders in general, and then how that applies to Unity.
Now,
Because
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, because shaders is such a complex subject, and it's really fascinating actually. But not just for Unity, but all of you've got CGFX, you've got GLSL and HLSL languages for shaders. They're all very similar and derived or based off one another. But it'd be really cool to have a series of videos that wasn't just Unity specific, but to go over HLSL type shaders, which you could then use in either XNA or Unity,
Mm-hmm.
and then cover the basics probably in XNA, just because Unity has such very specific needs when it comes to shaders,
Mm-hmm.
where we don't have that requirement in XNA, so we could do our mock-ups in XNA fairly seamlessly
Mm-hmm.
and play with that. And then once we have a good understanding of what shaders are, how they work, then look at the specifics that are needed for the application of that inside of Unity.
Okay. Now, Enrico asks, how come two terrain systems? I know you've said why before, but go ahead and let them know. 2, 3.
Well, in what I've been mocking together, it looks like there'll be 3 different things to make up our terrain. The reason why is because we do not have the performance at an engine level to modify meshes at using C# inside of Unity that can modify the meshes in real time of the scale that we need. We just can't do it. For that, we'd have to have access to the engine itself to optimize it at that level. What that means is our terrain has no dynamic level of detail. We cannot go through and modify our mesh frame by frame to change from close to the camera all the way out to the horizon. So to compensate for that, my tests indicate we could do.
And you're talking planet horizon, not clipping plane.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that he understands that.
Yeah, it's the system that I've been putting together that Jason and Zach have seen is actually it's 4 cameras, 4 Unity cameras. You've got one camera that displays pretty much everything close to the player, which is the player, the high-res terrain, NPCs, trees, foliage, all that would be shown by the closest camera. You've got a second layer that shows the low resolution terrain, which is basically from mid-ground all the way out to about, I'd have to do the math, I think it's 10 or 15 kilometers out. So that would be pretty much just terrain, no foliage, no trees as you would expect them up close. But what that part of the terrain would have would be something called landmarks. Basically large visual features like low-res city skylines, maybe a hero tree or there just to give it some variety so it wasn't just an entire flat terrain. And then beyond that is the planet surface, which is the third terrain system. That is just another grid that has been modeled in Maya in such a way that allows me to control the curvature of it via scaling. So I can control how flat or how round that appears within limits. I can't make it turn into a sphere from a plane. But what I can do is make it into a three-dimensional parabola and stretch the edges so it appears that the planet surface is falling away to an orb or a sphere. It's basically a visual trick that we're pulling. So what we can then do is start off on the ground, fly up into the air, which gives you more detail of the mid-range. Eventually, the close-range, high-res terrain will get clipped away from the camera because the camera will be too far away to show it. So all you'll see is the medium-resolution terrain. Eventually, the second camera's clip plane will exceed that terrain, so you will no longer see the medium range or the low res terrain. So all you'll see is the terrain that is the planet's surface as you get to really high elevations. So it looks like you're flying up to the edge of space. And the higher you go, the more curved we make that planet's surface terrain. So we get more and more curvature out of it. So we just visually trick the system, keep things high performance, because we can't do that with a mesh in real time.
But so far, early R&D tests have been very promising for that technique. I mean, you've taken the character and dropped her from space, and it took what, falling at maximum terminal velocity?
12 minutes.
12 minutes to hit the ground. So, yeah,
not simulated minutes, real minutes.
Enrico said that would be a kind of LOD between these patch systems.
It is. It's
yeah,
just not dynamic.
It's the poor man's approach.
It's just, it's, you know, what I say a lot about Unity is the fact that it's not so much that things are impossible, it's just thinking about it in a way that nobody's really thought of before. We're just finding ways to think outside of the box to accomplish what we want it to do.
Exactly.
That's pretty much all we've done. I mean, this system is not perfect. If this was a AAA title, I would say it was unsatisfactory, but it does give us, 90% of the way.
I don't know. I've seen AAA titles that some of the stuff that they haven't seen yet is pretty darn close. I mean, if not better. What am I saying? Some of it's been better looking.
Well, I'm still not happy with the camera trick because of the transition from one system to the other.
Yeah, because it'll be
I still have that hard line going from one transition to the other. And it's like going, if I was doing this as a AAA title, I'd flag that as something that needs to be addressed. I still think.
Yeah, but we haven't truly spent
it up.
We haven't truly spent the time working on this stuff yet. So, yeah, I have ideas as well for how we could make some of that stuff work. I mean, the length of time that was spent on it was maybe an evening. So, I mean, come on. But let's see. Any other questions? Did I see any other ones come in? We had the question about 2 terrain systems. If there's anything else about the terrain, now is the time. Has anyone tried to port the R&D so far to XNA? Lee and I have talked about doing it, possibly even recording some videos over it on one weekend we're bored. I don't think it's going to be that painful.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Just more so getting up back up to speed on XNA. I haven't touched it in 2 years.
Not exactly 2 years now. Oh,
yeah. Well, I wasn't going to bring
said.
that up.
I'm just going to say enough said. Moving right along.
Jason keeps dumping all the secrets out
I
there.
did not dump anything.
You did. Oh, hey, Lee, real quick.
Yeah.
Since I brought it up earlier, and since we're still kind of prodding around for questions, I just thought I'd ask this. If I was to put something together just as a crude test vehicle of some sort, do you want it to operate kind of like the flying mounts do in WoW? Because if you want it to behave like that, that'll determine what I make it look like. Because I'd rather it look like it's supposed to do that, as opposed to a plane or something that looks like it's supposed to have forward thrust that can somehow magically hover in place.
I don't know. I think
let's just go with that.
Something that could hover and move forward.
Yeah. Let's just go with that. I think it'd be cool. Even because I'm not expecting you to have true, awesome hover mechanics or anything.
I am.
I don't know, especially
right away.
After Jason's like, "Hey, look at this new Warthog flight sim. Look at how cool that is. Wouldn't that be great if we could do that in our
MMO badass.
too?"
It does.
Not only does it look badass, but it actually makes me stop. I mean, not seriously, but at least one little cell in my brain goes, "Hey, you know what? It really would be cool to buy that Warthog joystick and pick that up."
Yeah, only a house payment.
Yeah, seriously. A $600 joystick. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
Yes, we are.
I just thought I'd ask.
So looking over here for any more questions, I don't see anything else. Clouds. Do you want to talk about clouds for a second with just some of the light R&D stuff?
So you could use some clouds for cool transition. Well, yeah, we got clouds. Well, that's the skybox. That's not real clouds. Or are you talking about the cool experimental clouds?
Yeah, I'm just talking about just the very rough experimental stuff that was played with a couple weeks ago for a day.
Clouds are... I'm still going to figure this one out. I've got clouds that work off of a sky dome, and there's a cloud layer or a cloud dome, which gives me the ability to have clouds that have 3D noise applied to them. So my clouds have convection in them as well as motion, so I can do that kind of stuff. The problem that I face that you don't normally get in a regular MMO is no sane person who's ever written an MMO has yet decided, wouldn't it be cool if you could go to the edge of space, so where you take off from the ground and you've got this nice partly cloudy sky, and then you fly up into those clouds and then beyond the clouds, and then you're above the clouds and you're looking at the clouds from the edge of space. That's going to be a very complex problem to solve.
What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. I thought you wanted an MMO, not an MMO slash flight sim slash space sim. But what'll probably end up happening is I'll have some noise-generated clouds that will be texture-based that will sit on a dome. Those will probably be faded out. My guess is in a shader based on the camera's altitude. And then I will probably swap in particles to simulate the clouds once you get to that point. So you'll have high altitude, flat clouds, maybe some particle clouds floating around here and there, and you transition. The effect that I'll attempt to replicate would be something similar to what you would see in Just Cause 2. If you were to play with that, because to the best of my knowledge, it's the only really game where they've got a fairly good-looking cloud system where you are on the ground and then you do go up into the clouds. So,
and then jump out of your aircraft for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, but you got a grappling hook and unlimited parachutes that you can cut away.
Sweet.
I really want a backpack that has unlimited parachutes in it.
We can put that in the MMO.
And I want those parachutes to be effective at 14 feet like they are in Just Cause 2.
Yeah. So, but that's the system that I'm going to look at and see how close I can replicate. But again, we run into the problem with at that point we're trying to create particle systems inside of game using scripts,
right?
Which is going to hit similar limitations that we find with the train. So it'll be a matter of trial and error to figure out what I can get away with, what I can't get away with, and what I can make tie in with their existing particle systems.
Right. And Mr. S.M. Jones asks about could do simple approach with planar clouds. Absolutely, though I think in the specific area that Lee's talking about with approaching and passing through them, I don't think that would look that nice. I mean, we're going to try everything, obviously, but
it would look like the effect that you would get in games from about a decade ago.
Yeah. Where
you would fly up and you would see the clouds being a flat plane that you pass through.
But we're going to try everything we can, though, to make things look as nice as we can. Okay, so Mr. Wolf Knightley says, can we seamlessly go from the planet's surface to the sun's surface?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Not in Unity. But Zach came up with a really good way that we could pull off something like that, but it won't be seamless.
Okay. Well, we'll get into specifics on that a little bit later. And I know Gavin made fun of me a second ago for saying that I was going to wrap up this video, but I did want to give the opportunity for people to ask some questions before we moved on to another topic, questions that were related to the topic we just covered. And so I'll just go ahead and kill it here. So that is going to wrap up this video. In the next video, we will begin our discussion on game mechanics. Thanks a lot, everyone.